it's about 5:30, right?
I think I have to call this one to order because you have to re-nominate a chair.
Re-nominate, yep, okay, very good.
So, as this is the reorganization meeting of the Albany School Board, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. And the first order of business is for you all to nominate a chairperson.
I nominate Dan.
Anybody second?
Second.
Great. Dan, do you
Yeah,
accept
sure.
the position?
Congratulations, Dan.
Yay, okay.
Thank you.
So I will turn over the meeting to you.
Okay, I guess the next order of business is the election of the vice chairperson. I'm open to any nominations.
I nominate.
Curtis.
Curtis, you have the same reaction I did.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all in favor of Curtis? No? Okay. So
Yeah,
there's
the,
selection of that. Set meeting dates and times, is this an adequate time, 5:30 on every other month on Tuesdays? Is that good for everybody?
works for me.
Works for me. I mean, I've had to schedule a little bit, rearrange with my new job and stuff, but it worked out. I think that should be fine. So we'll set the new meeting, we'll continue with the same 5:30 meetings every other Tuesday, of the second Tuesday of the month, I believe.
It's the second Tuesday, yeah?
And let's see, we need to approve the minutes of 2/11/25, which was the last meeting, and I don't know if anybody need a motion to approve the minutes?
Yep.
I'll take, open for a motion.
I'll
to
make a
approve
motion to
them.
approve the minutes.
I'll second.
And you'll second. All in favor of approval of the minutes of 2/11? Yes? Okay, any, let's see, comments, so that's done. Comments, no public present? Any board member comments? No? Signing of checks and manifests, I did sign, I guess everyone is able to sign now, right? We have 3.
I don't think you need all three, but you're welcome to
Whatever.
review them. So Kristen, each month, I bring the manifests for 2 of the members to sign. Basically, it's just all of the ins and outs, budgetary transactions that we need board approval for. For Albany, it primarily is your transportation contract and a handful of other things.
Tuition contracts and
Yeah,
some other
tuition
things.
billing and things like that.
Sometimes we will do it electronically as well. Once they get your email, then sometimes we can do this email depending on the situation, so that sometimes is convenient. Other business affairs, we have the Albany County tuition agreement. I believe that Amy has provided us with a final draft of this tuition agreement. And I believe the next steps, I think Curtis was saying, was to just get the final okay from our attorney.
We have to just sit with our attorney, go over
Yeah.
some of the items, make sure it's all acceptable, and then we will get a time that we can, if it's all acceptable, we will sign it.
I think that's,
Just one more step.
that's the
before we
plan.
sign.
And that's the K-6. Now, when is the next tuition agreement up? That's not another year, right?
The year after.
One more year,
Yeah.
so that's another thing we're gonna have to, I think once this is done, I mean, we should have a framework perhaps, to speed that along a little bit, so who knows. We'll see.
So would you like me to arrange that conversation with your attorney? Or do you wanna,
I think
mean,
we
it's-
could, if it's not, right? Yeah, why not?
I mean, you can, yeah,
Well, I
she
mean-
drafted it. But you
We
can
could-
ask her specific Albany
Do you
questions.
wanna reach out to her?
That works.
You get a time where we can, you just tell me, you
I
get a
could-
time where we,
Yeah, is there any times that are better than others during the week, or, I'm sure she's not working on weekends, so.
so Dan and I, Dan and I, we've been on this tuition negotiating kinda from the board, and we took over for Tim Sergi, who was working on it, Dan and I have been working on it, so, as long as you're all right with it, we just wanna finish it, and then,
Yeah, I mean, it's our tuition agreement, that we'll be contracting with Conway, which we have for many. I almost wanted to see when was the last time we ever sent them anywhere else, and I don't know if in Albany's history, I don't know if
It's
there
never
has.
been.
I don't think so. So that's a, I
The
don't know how
Golden
far
Age
back.
shop, that's the last time we didn't go to Conway.
Yeah, and
And that's
no
the
one was
arm.
around then, I don't think.
Oh, my father would be offended right now.
Well, did he go there?
Yeah,
He did, really? Oh my gosh, that's, well, there's some history right there. But anyway, it's been a long time, so, but that's where we're at this point. We've met several times with Conway representatives, and, it's,
So just with the protocol of it, we will just finalize stuff with the attorney and make sure Albany is covered, and then the whole board, I'm assuming, will have to sign the agreement.
Yep,
So then, so what we get is then we can give it to you, and you can take a look at it, we can talk about it if there's questions or not, and we'll sign off on it.
and as far as, so this, as far as what Conway is already, agreeing to this
With Eaton.
with Eaton.
So Conway, their tuition committee that you all have met with, has approved this contract.
Okay.
The Eaton School Board, or at the Eaton annual meeting, just like yours, the community allowed the school board to engage in the 8-year contract, with Conway. So at last night's Eaton meeting, they signed the finalized version of what you have in front of you, which is just the same without the watermark. And then at Conway's meeting on the 14th, April 14th, that's their next meeting, they'll review it with the full board and sign the final agreement.
Because our next school board meeting will be in June, correct? And that would be probably when we would all get together, unless we wanted to do something prior to that, but,
We probably would want to. Could we could sign it out of session, couldn't I? No, probably not, actually.
I'm not sure, I could ask the,
We can figure that out.
yeah, we can figure that out.
I would think we'd wanna get this
Yeah.
executed before June.
Yeah,
Yeah, and again, the timeline, you still have a year under the current contract. It's just that when we begin the
mhm.
budget development process, we need to know what the finalized formulas are.
Now, is anyone opposed, what if, the attorney, if we did a Zoom call, is that a potential? Could we do that instead of meeting in person?
I'd rather just do a conference call.
Yeah.
If you wanna do a
Telephone conference call, okay.
Usually we can talk about that though. Just get a time that she can do it, and mornings are the best, and we'll figure it.
And how, any better times for you than others?
I'm more flexible on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay.
Pretty flexible.
I'm, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays are good for me, so we'll, I don't know, Curtis, any days?
Any morning, just make it happen.
Okay, so maybe we can shoot for a Thursday,
Yeah,
that looks like a pretty good day, okay.
The rest of the season.
All right, I'll reach out to, what's her name,
Barbara Lohman, yes, and,
Barbara,
I mean,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've spoken to her
Yeah,
prior, so that, yeah, I'll reach out. Okay, very good. So that takes care of 6A. 7 is the superintendent's report.
just a couple of things, I think you all have, heard me speak of it, but we have a training coming up on May 14th for all of the faculty in SAU 9. So any school board members invited to attend, should you wish, with the retired police chief from the Parkland incident. We are working in conjunction with Conway PD and Chris Matty to bring this great training to not only the Conway Police Department, but also the entire SAU 9 faculty, followed by an administrator training for building level administrators across the district. So it was a training that Chris Matty attended as a chief's training, and then thought this would be really important to bring back to his staff, and they've been working closely with us on fine-tuning our emergency procedures and our reunification processes following a large-scale incident of that nature. So we're gonna share the cost and host it at the high school on May 14th. We're filling some positions already at the SAU level and across the rest of the SAU. Pending tonight's vote in Conway, we'll begin posting for all of the anticipated vacancies for next school year and hopefully get some new folks hired. So that's going up well. As I think you both were there at the last SAU 9 meeting, the SAU 9 board decided to create a committee, or at least discuss the creation of a committee to review health insurance moving forward. And since then, there's a new Senate bill that's going to the House next. It was passed through the Senate regarding risk management pool providers, which is what the entire SAU uses in New Hampshire Interlocal Trust, similar to school care that SAU 13 uses, or health trust that the towns use. But essentially, it requires these risk management organizations to place more burden on the membership to create these contingency funds in the event that claims exceed what they've allocated or what they've given everyone for rates. And it also requires them to base their not to exceed rates and on actual claims. So in the budget development process in the fall, the not to exceed rate we were given by New Hampshire Interlocal Trust was 8.5% increase over last year, which is what we budgeted for in the upcoming budget. In response to this potential new piece of legislation, they have notified us just last week that the actual rates will be a 39.6% increase over last year. So obviously across the entire SAU, we understand that's unacceptable and not something that we will be able to sustain. So it's kind of sped along the process of beginning a conversation about other health insurance options much sooner than the conversation at the SAU board. We've quickly written an RFP that has been sent out to multiple entities, but obviously any change in health insurance will include union representatives and all of that because health insurance, as you know, is contractual. We've had some response to the RFP that was sent last week, and a lot of local folks who are just in support of the school and who have we're too big of an entity for them to take on themselves, but they want to assist us. Some of the connections you provided also, Curtis, we've followed up with too. So that definitely was not on our to-do list, but it's now top of the list. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that and have to move on it quickly before contracts go out for all of our employees and before the end of this fiscal year. So that's where we stand with that. So it's kind of a big and unfortunate update, but one that we're addressing as swiftly as possible.
It's hard to determine what's going to happen, but what are the potential impacts to some, say, the different towns?
Millions of dollars in Conway,
Yeah.
Probably upward of $3 or so million. How that relates to each individual district, I'm not sure yet. It's just, we believe they're in breach of a contract, which other school districts across the state who also utilize New Hampshire Interlocal Trust also believe. But at this point, their hands are kind of tied as well. And we've been told that regardless of whether or not this new piece of legislation passes, those are our rates for the upcoming school year. So we really have no choice but to go look elsewhere, not just keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't pass. Gorham, for example, so smaller pools of people, right? We have almost 500 employees all under the same health insurance, which helps us get better rates and all of that. But in these smaller towns, their not to exceed rate, I think, was like 11%, or something, and they were quoted, just last week at 69% increase over last year or something like that, 65%. So, far more impactful on smaller groups of people, but definitely, not something that we're
What are
going
they
to
basing these rates increases on? I mean, is it
Actual
just,
claims is a piece of it because of the way the legislation, the proposed bill is written. And also on these contingency funds that these third-party risk management pools are required to maintain. Some groups that provide a similar service to NHIT are able to handle it a little bit better. But that primarily is because some of the burden was already being placed on our membership, whereas we were getting better rates for a pool of people, and kind of one of those scenarios where they were willing to kind of take a risk and give us a not to exceed rate, even though our true claims may have exceeded their not to exceed rate, and then they just kind of eat it on the other end. But now this new piece of legislation doesn't allow them to do that. So it's definitely a big deal. There's a lot of local opinions about it across the state.
The new local legislation doesn't allow who to do that. The current insurance carrier for, is it something tied to public school or municipalities?
So most municipalities, towns, schools, police, et cetera, utilize kind of this third-party risk management group. And so it doesn't have anything to do with the actual health insurance provider, like Harvard Pilgrim. It has to do with this third-party management group. And the reason municipalities go with a group like that is because they provide services that we just don't have the manpower to provide, like ACA, reporting and COBRA billing, and it's not as easy as like add, drop enrollment forms or name change forms or things like that. There are multiple things that they provide as a result of being a part of this group. And additionally, if we were to go direct to source, right now we have a high deductible insurance plan, but NHIT offsets that with like incentive things that employees can do. So like watch this video and track your steps, and so employees can essentially earn the equivalent or close to the equivalent of what the deductible is, which allows us to get a better rate because there's a higher deductible, but at no cost to the employee. So that third-party company does all of those pieces for us. So we could easily go to direct to source. It would just mean, probably hire an employee, like
There's
to
other
do
ways to do
just
it, though.
just that.
There's other ways to do it.
So that's what we're investigating currently. And of course, we have to gather all the census information for all the employees, not only those who are covered by the insurance plan right now, but who are eligible for these other companies that are looking into potentially taking us on. And then again, there's contractual language that needs to be renegotiated in the form of sidebar agreements, most likely, because it specifies that we can't change the insurance without providing equal or similar coverage without the approval of our unions. That's what we're grappling with now.
And that's July 1.
Yeah, except the contracts that, any
The
retired.
new cost is July 1.
Yeah, and retirees are like, what's my premium gonna be, right? We don't have answers to that question yet, so that's where we're at with that. Unexpected turn of
on
events.
that wonderful news,
Yes.
any other business that we need to conduct?
No, I will be, I think you'll need to look at your contract, renewing the contract with us. So,
Eldridge?
yeah, I will bring that potentially to the next
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
It's not Eldridge anymore, is it? It's
Oh, I know, is it not First Student, is it?
Ed Butler, not Butler, right?
It's
It was on the, I know the manifest said that, I think Elbridge, they finished it, Elbridge first student, I think,
Yeah,
too.
they combined and I can't keep straight which town is which. I'll bring it.
Hopefully we can stay with them, because they've been good.
They've been
with us.
great.
Yeah.
Yes, really
Yeah,
great.
that would be a good thing.
Good to deal with.
And let's see, 25-26 school year calendar, is that, for your information?
It's just an FYI app that was approved by the SAU9 board.
Okay.
It just has to be disseminated to each individual district.
Set the date and time for next meeting, which I think we already did, Tuesday, June 10th, 5:30, seemed to be acceptable. Any public comments, which there's no public, any non-public, I don't believe we have
No.
anything like there. I will entertain any, motions to adjourn then.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, then you'll second, great. Meeting, oh, do we have to vote on that? I forget.
Yes.